Welcome to Can't Recommend Enough. Today's guest is Steven Naranjo. He's a mobile dog groomer, which is really interesting in and of itself, but he's also an enthusiast in archery. So we get into that, which is really neat. But I want you to really stick around to the end because at the end we get into autism. And Steven has ASD, he's on the spectrum, and he has some really great thoughts on it. So please do yourself a favor, listen to it. It's a very interesting conversation. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. How did you get into mobile dog grooming?
I guess it goes all the way back to getting into grooming itself. I've been grooming. I'll be 10 years in February or March. I forget now. But I started out with PetSmart and kind of like pretty normal with a lot of groomers, starting with like a big chain. Unless they start with the mom and pop shop, but for a lot of us it's starting with that, and I got a job there, and eventually it just one of the groomers that quit before me, she's like, hey, we're hiring here at the mobile groomer, it might actually fit you better. So I just looked into it. It's like, well, dollar for dollar, if I make more money, I make more money regardless of paid vacation and all that. It's like, all right, I'll jump ship because I really liked working for PetSmart because I like being with people, but because with mobile groomer, you're just by yourself all day. So it's just me listening to podcasts or music and just like, all right, I make more money. I'm not going to, because I'm married. I'm going to be married. We're our 11-year anniversary Saturday. So I was like, all right.
Congrats.
I'm going to make thanks. So I was like, all right, just comes down to bottom dollar for me. So like, simple as that. Like, it's a pretty secure job as long as you don't suck at your job.
So what's your setup like in the, is it a van?
So it's a Sprinter van, so like those big cargo vans you see, Amazon and everyone else have them. So it's a big Sprinter van. They're converted. There's like two major companies in the country that do these conversions. One is Wagon Tails, which is the company that my boss buys them from, and the other one's called Hanvey. But essentially they just build them up to be like small RVs, but like a small grooming salon. So you have your tub usually at the back. Some floor models like all against one wall, but for us, the tub is in the back of the van, and then you have your grooming table, and then you got your dryer behind that, and then your storage above all that stuff. So it's, does
it open up like some weird way?
So you open the big, no, not like weird open way, but like big cargo door, and just the big sliding door opens up, so you have full access. So, but it's always closed. You can't really see into it because of the tint in the windows, but yeah, you get people like knocking, like trying to get your attention.
Yeah. Do you ever get people that try to solicit you? Like you go somewhere to park to like pick up some food. They're like, hey, I got my dog. Can you?
Yeah. I literally have it like where I stopped to grab like a burrito, and then some lady's like getting her, like, I don't know. So I guess her car like had an issue, and she's at the park at the gas station, but she's got like 3 chihuahuas in her car. It's like, hey, can you do my dog really quick? Like, yeah, they're chihuahuas. I'm not gonna say no for a little extra money. So yeah, let me just grab my burrito because I'm waiting on it, and then I'll do it because I'm usually ahead. I'm fast, so I just get done really quick.
There you go.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It's like sometimes I don't have time, and sometimes honestly, I'm just too tired. I don't want to do your dog.
Yeah, right. I got to be somewhere.
Yeah, I got an appointment. Yeah, so there's always that.
Do you have like a certain radius that you stay within, or do you just kind of go wherever?
Yeah, we have a pretty large coverage area, and we keep the vans pretty centered to that. So we try to go not like giant loop, but we'll try and go out we'll have like our first appointment nearby, and then our last appointment nearby where we drop off the van. So we'll do like a loop, go south and come back up, or go north and come back up. We try not to go too crazy. We try to keep everything within a 20-minute drive of everything, of like from appointment to appointment.
That's cool.
It's usually not too bad.
Have you seen Dumb and Dumber, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you ever feel like butt cuts?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what it was, because they're all nice and pampered and they're pretty and primed, and then of course he's bouncing around with mustard and ketchup in the back.
It's the shaggin' wagon.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I was like, you get the dog lift for the gas can. No, we got that. It's always fun. People always reference that.
You mentioned listening to music and podcasts. You got to think of the trade-off here. Like you're making a little bit more money, but you're not being around people as much. But you get to learn a lot more. Out there by yourself and listening to podcasts and just sitting with your thoughts, basically.
Oh yeah. Like I used to like when we used to like not be that big a deal if we listened to music, because especially when you're in the back bathing and drying a dog, like you have earmuffs on anyway. You're not paying attention. You're not going to hear anything up front anyway. So like we used to, for the most part, have like earbuds in, and like I would listen to a lot of music then. So it's like 20 minutes. You're not hearing anything anyway. But then they're like, no, you can't do that for whatever stupid safety things. Like I've been doing this already 2 years of mobile grooming. I have that stuff in. It's not a safety issue.
Yeah,
it's a moron issue. If you got a moron working for you, but it's not a safety issue. It's a moron issue. So it's just like, whatever.
It's liability.
Everything's a liability.
Yeah.
Someone does something stupid. But so it's just I just, it's really nice because I mean I do kind of miss sometimes talking to people, because we always get into really interesting conversations, and regardless of it's like political personal stories or whatever, it's just always really entertaining to like bounce random thoughts off each other. And like, but yeah, it's nice because now I just listen to a lot of podcasts, and I mean that's kind of like, in all honesty, probably like a lot of people who recently got into archery is like because of JRE, Joe Rogan Experience podcast, as he talked about. Like I kind of avoided it for like the longest time because but like a few of the clips I kept seeing online, like, all right, let's give it a shot. And then I just kind of got sucked into it. And
like, you have no idea how bad I want to do archery as well. I did it way back in the day in the Scouts, and it was fun. But as an adult, I think it takes on a whole nother meaning to it.
As soon as you got the bow and you can put in a good half hour just to enjoy it. So it's like, even if you get like a reef curve bow, like a basic recurve, it's super fun. Like I went full on in, so like I got a nice end bow, and I mean you can see some of my arrows I've worked on, and so I mean I actually just like I went full hog, and I got my hunting license this year and can be doing it all, and yeah, no, I mean, just as a sport, because I really want to do, unfortunately, with all the lockdown stuff, I was really looking forward to trying to do some competitions. Like there was a couple, because some stuff opened up, some like 3D shoots where you like hit the foam animals. So that was a lot of fun, just being out with their other archers and everything. But I want to do more indoor stuff too, but it kind of like the really big ones in Vegas, which I guess every big kind of thing for anything is always in Vegas, isn't it? So that's like their big indoor shoot, the Las Vegas shoot. Like that's more than likely not going to happen, even though that's in February. But people are like, that's kind of what's crazy about this. Like, oh my God, we're already thinking like that far in advance, because February is like, that's still like 6 months away. But like, oh yeah, this is still going to be all locked down and shut down. Like, I can't even.
Yeah, you got to think about it. They don't want to get everybody's hopes up, get all the sponsors together, get all that planned, and then just have to cancel it last minute, or even close to it.
And there were other states that were definitely not as locked down as California, but like some of these other really big tournament shoots got like shut down last minute, which really sucked.
Yeah.
So for those who were going to go, I wasn't going to go because I'm just trying to do stuff local, but it's just like, oh man, this whole pandemic thing makes it crazy. I mean, with grooming, when it first happened, I was out of work for a month and a half. Yeah. Because we were like, we don't know what we're doing. Like, are we going to stay open? How contagious is this?
You guys were a godsend. And I got to tell you, because we got a dog during the pandemic. We got in May.
Everyone did. All the humane animal shelters empty. I mean, that was the big stories. All the animal shelters, especially New York, especially California, they were empty. Animal shelters.
It was hard finding one, but we found one. Yeah,
I know. I thought I was like, I actually just a few days ago, like I decided to take a look and see what the local animal shelters look like, and like they barely have like 10 dogs. Yeah. And it just kind of sucks because it's still pit bulls or it's still like German Shepherd mixes or something, and it's like, those are good dogs. I mean, I would get a pit bull if it wasn't for my wife.
Yeah.
She'd still like the only one that like nervous about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd get a pit bull. Like, that's like, as far as dog grooming goes, they're always sweet. They're always super, super sweet.
Most people with pit bulls don't have the type of pit bulls that everybody talks about. They're nice dogs.
You know what? They're bred specifically to be around people. Yeah. I would say you should be cautious with it being around a small animal, because they're built to mangle what they think are basically rodents. And so if you got Chihuahua, don't put it around a pit bull. Probably. Yeah. I mean, these are predators. All dogs are predators. All dogs come from wolves. That's a fact. That they're bred to do specific things. Like one of my favorite things, like learning from all dog groomers, like you got crazy things that dogs are bred for. Like a Westies is bred for to have a thicker base tail for when it goes after rodents in the ground. If it gets stuck, you can grab it by the tail and yank its head out so it doesn't get stuck in a hole. When it goes after gophers or rats or whatever. So it's like there's like these all dogs are meant to like go kill things for the most part. They used to, at least, before.
That's
they got,
why the dachshunds think they're such tough guys, right? Because they were bred to go in the holes. And
well, the Jack Russells, I mean, you can find videos like online on YouTube where people, like, I think like in the UK, like they're plowing a field and they got rodents running there, and you see them with a bunch of Jack Russells. Those Jack Russells just go out there and just murder a bunch of rats. They don't eat them; they just grab them by the head and shake them to death. Yeah. Like, these dogs are predators. They're canines. They eat meat. They're not vegans. They're not even well, they're kind of omnivores, but they're mostly going to eat meat. Yep. So it's just like, remember that. So like these bigger dogs or animals, like, again, going back to the pit bulls, like they were bred not to really be around small things that it thinks it's supposed to eat.
Yeah.
So it's like, but they're highly bred to be super, super human, submissive. So that's why they're great family dogs. I mean, yes, obviously, like, things happen with, people with the pets and the kids get bit, but it's usually because the kid, a lot of the times, it's rare where it just snaps. Like, it's not going to, like, all of a sudden walking down the hall, it's like, Charlie seems like a douche today, I'm going to go bite him. Like, he doesn't do that. He goes, it's usually there's some sort of instigation.
Yes.
I rarely find it. Like, there's something leads up to something, and so it's pretty rare. I mean, at least in my opinion, I usually I remember when I was still a kid seeing news articles about certain dogs like Rottweilers or Dobermans being the most vicious animals. And then like now today, it's all about pit bulls being the most vicious animals. Mm-hmm. It's just like, there's always something being pushed.
I think what it is you got to establish your pack order. You know, they have to know that you're the leader of the pack. Because you hear those stories about people being mauled and killed by their pets, right?
Yeah.
Those were people that their dog never had respect for them in the first place.
No, a lot of people don't train their dogs correctly.
And those dogs thought that they owned everything in the house. So you have to teach ownership. The other thing is with kids, they always tell you never leave kids alone with dogs.
No, you shouldn't.
At all.
I mean, I remember there was a viral video of, I don't even think it was a pit bull. I can't remember. I just remember like this, like maybe 3-year-old is like messing with this dog's face, like just like not trying to hurt the dog, but it's like clumsily trying to pet it, but smacking the dog on the face. Mm-hmm. The dog just finally flips around and literally mauls the kid's face off.
Jeez.
I mean, you saw the after photos, like they had to like stitch this kid's face back, and the 3-year-old now is probably going to have a complex issue of some sort, without a doubt, because like you could see the body language of the dog, like it's irritated. It is genuinely irritating, and it's like they think it's cute because the baby can't hurt the dog. Well, guess what? The dog can hurt the baby. Don't piss off the dog. There's a reason why their teeth are pointy again.
Yeah, I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and the 2-year-old does what all kids do, messes with the dog, and he's gotten to the point where at first he would growl and kind of snap, but we've got him better, and now he'll just kind of give a bark, like a quick bark.
Yeah.
They're like
you can
doing something that he doesn't like.
Better.
Yeah. But still, I'll never leave him alone. And whenever I catch him messing with him, I'm like, you got to back off. Like he may be your best friend, but if you push him, he can snap. So, and we taught him there's a really good video on YouTube where you can look at dog body language too. So I made my daughter watch that too. So, because she can understand it a little bit more than he can. She's 5. So seeing that, that's going to help too. And
I mean, I think that's a lot of people are just underprepared for owning dogs. I mean, I see that just with people that don't realize the upkeep on dogs. Mm-hmm. Like, I have to shave down dogs purely because people were not ready to give them the proper like grooming in between grooms. Like, a lot of people are very much underestimate like the maintenance or how high maintenance certain breeds are. Like doodles are like the biggest prime example among groomers. Like, we hate grooming them so much. There's please, people stop buying doodles. You don't need them. The guy who invented them regrets inventing them. If that means anything to anyone, that's like saying the guy who invented meth regrets inventing meth, as he should. Whoever invented meth should regret inventing meth. Just like, so if that means something, so does a guy. Maybe
they're both evil geniuses. They're like, this is my gift to you.
Oh, yeah, no, it's pretty much at that point. It's like, because like there's so many things that people are sold on. Like, oh, they're low maintenance. No, they're not. They're hypoallergenic. Not all of them. Actually, like barely 10% of them are.
Yeah.
And it's just,
That's what I've heard, but I hear that most dogs, they say that aren't.
So so let me do as accurately and as briefly as I can on the breakdown of the origin of doodles.
Yeah.
This dude in Hawaii who was a breeder and who also trained, if I remember correctly, CNI dogs. A customer came to him because it was normal, because the typical is usually Lab or Golden Retrievers are your CNI dogs. So a customer came and was like, my husband, he's allergic to these guys. He's allergic to dander. Is there anything you can do to get him? And he doesn't like poodles because I know poodles are hypoallergenic. Is there anything we can do? It took him 3 litters and 20 plus dogs to get the doodles to find the hypoallergenic doodle, because you have to test them to see if they're hypoallergenic.
Yeah.
It took 20 pets or plus, I think, for him to finally find it. And because now they're like, oh, this guy who breeds CNI dogs, he can make you a hypoallergenic dog. 1 out of 20, maybe. But that's the point, though. It's just like, it's like a totally misrepresentation of like what you're getting or what you're trying to accomplish with making the doodle.
Yeah.
And it's like they require so much money. I mean, they're giant, they're life-size Chewbacca's, because especially everyone wants them grown out and super shaggy and super long and so fluffy, because they're skinny. They're usually pretty skinny, but they're heavy dogs. Like they'll get up to 80 pounds really easily. But as soon as they get over an inch, like I always tell people, it's like the longer they are, the more high maintenance they are, which means daily brushing. Of course, none of them do. It's like,
oh yeah.
Like my favorite part every time is like, oh, I brushed him yesterday before we brought him in. That's like flossing your teeth the one time before going for your dental cleaning. It doesn't do anything. You've already failed.
And then I bet the biggest thing you see is just nails, like, or claws. Just
my arms are
crazy
covered in
long
scars from nails and, well, very few bites, mostly scratches. But I've been bit a few good times. But yeah, a lot of people neglect the nails because they're always afraid to hurt them. I'll tell you one. The only reason I'm good at it is because I've done it tens of thousands of times.
Yeah. I tried it. It's my dog hates
scary.
it. It's not easy.
Yeah, especially
I know how to do it. I know how to look for the quick and everything, but he's not having it.
Well, that's really what it is. Like they're gonna fight you, and so everyone's like, I don't want to break their arm.
Yeah.
You're not. I mean, I've never have, so I'm pretty sure you're not going to.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the worst ones are pugs and like anything with short limbs that have a good amount of leverage, like corgis and dachshunds. Like, they have so much leverage on those little limbs. Like it's like, oh my god, why are you so strong for being so tiny?
They were built that way.
Yeah. So it's just So it's people, if you want to, do your dog's nails, and you just practice at doing it nice and little. If you do quick them, have some cornstarch nearby. That'll help with stopping the bleeding. Just a little cornstarch, dab it in there, hold it, and then you should be good to go.
Yeah, but watch a video or read something, especially if you got the black nails.
Yeah, the black nails. Yeah, black nails can take a while, and then some dogs genuinely have long quicks. Like some people say, "Can't you trim them a little shorter?" It's like, no, there's a vein right there.
So I bet people get pretty mad about that too. Like,
and there's unfortunately not much you can do. I mean, unless you actually upkept with the nails really regularly at home and in between. But it's like when you let them get insanely long, that vein realizes, oh, nothing's impeding my growth because there's nail to go into, so they keep going with it. So yeah, sometimes they just get super long nails, long quicks with it. So it's just, pretty much the only thing you can do is there's procedures where, like, say your dog goes in for a dental cleaning, because pretty much all of them have to be put under for dental cleaning. And what they can do is like when I mean lop off, they lop it off because they're cutting into the vein, down really short nails, and then they cauterize it essentially. And so that way you just kind of a refresh with that whole nail growth. So that's like some vets offer it. So it's not like when you get your cat declawed. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, though, cutting really deep into that nail, getting that vein, stopping it so that way it's a lot easier to maintain, because you don't want the nail too long, because when dogs are putting too much pressure when the nails get long, so they'll start to disfigure their paws. Like they'll start getting really bad, like their bones will get basically disfigurement in their feet. So that's why you don't want their nails getting crazy long, or they get super curled that they grow into the pad. I've seen that. Oh, super neglectful. Yeah,
that's not fun.
Yeah, I've seen lots of stuff.
So let me ask you about archery. You talked about the recurve bow. For people that want to get started in archery, you're saying a recurve bow is a good way to start. Yeah. What does a recurve run you? A good starting recurve.
I think PSE has the one called the Nighthawk, and pretty much everyone has PSE, or like I think like Lancaster's like the big online one, so it's like Galaxy, whatever. They're pretty much around 150-ish, give or take, maybe 50 to $75 depending on quality. Because you can get some aluminum risers, which is actually the part that those the bent what we call the limbs attached to. So we're talking about a breakdown recurve, unless you were looking for something like
so. Define a recurve for somebody totally not in the know.
So there's basically two kinds of recurve. So you have your solid, it's a single piece of wood, like watching Robin Hood. That's a recurve. You're one single piece, and then you have your breakdown recurve. So it's going to be a composite of three pieces. It's going to be your riser, which is the part your handle, and also where your bow's going to launch off of, and then your limbs, which is your top and bottom limb, and then your string. So those, that's as basic as any bow gets. So those four pieces: riser, limbs, your two limbs, and your string. And pretty much most of them, pretty much everyone will generally start with a 20-pound, because like you do not have the muscles developed to pull back the bow. Like even me, because I shoot compound, I would still probably start at like a 35-pound recurve. I wouldn't even shoot something like that could hunt an animal. Like you wanted like a minimum of 40, 45 probably. So I wouldn't even personally buy that, because it's still not the same kind of strength that it's required to pull back and hold to aim and then fire. Like that's why compounds are so much easier, because they're built to that's what those gears looking things at the ends, those hold the extra weight off of you. So like when you pull back, you're only holding like 10-20% of the actual weight. So it's like if you're drawing back a 70-pound compound bow and you have, let's say, 80% let off, that means you're only 7 pounds, 10 pounds at most you're actually holding in place before you launch your arrow.
So you're saying back before that, guys were total beasts because they
absolutely were. Because like if you look into like some of the history, like let's say for example the English longbow, those were 100+ pound bows. So we hunt with a lot of people who can barely pull back a 50-pound bow. These dudes were pulling double and holding it for a good amount of time.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah. They had no choice but to build up muscle. They were skinny, but they were muscle.
And in war, you got to imagine you got all the nerves on you and everything too, and you're trying to launch arrows out there and keep still and keep your aim and all that stuff. That's nuts.
Yeah, there's still some crazy bowyers out there that make those kind of like full like 75, 100-pound. I think some make more than 100-pound.
Are you gonna do one day?
I don't think I could ever be that strong. I'd be afraid to like get part way and it just like either like it come and punch myself in the face or something. That's probably what I've only punched my face like twice by accident with my bow, and I'm glad that that's still only at 70.
So when you get good, do you still use the wrist guard?
I never used it. Okay. I learned very quickly because I did clip myself once really good, and so always got my form in check before I pull the bow, so that way I never clip my arm because it hurts. You learn. That's a very powerful training tool of making sure you don't have your because it's all about how your elbow is in too close. So if you make sure your elbow's out, you learn that pretty quick the first time you get yourself really good.
It's akin to the sting of the nunchuck.
Oh, pretty much, yeah. It's it was a big golf ball purple welt on my arm for a week. It was the thing was tender and it hurt so
there's a place literally right down the street from me. They were closed for a while for COVID and everything. They just opened up and they have the outdoor range. They have an indoor range and an outdoor range.
Oh, sweet.
And I've been wanting to go there for the longest time, and I'm like, we just moved to this side of the state last summer, but towards the end of the summer, so I'm like, this is going to be the summer. It hasn't been the summer because everything's weird, but they're open now. So I really want to go over there and get started because I've always wanted to do it. I mean, if you look at the long line of cool archers, let's see. Yeah. Name a couple, Rambo, John Rambo, the man, Legolas, Katniss. Who else?
Don't forget. Oh my gosh. Jeremy Renner's character. I can't believe I'm not thinking of it. Hawkeye. Why can I not say Hawkeye? I know Jeremy Renner. How can I think of the actor and not the character?
I know, right?
It's because he's purple.
Probably.
And then you got Green Arrow.
Green Arrow. Yep. Wait, what's Hawkeye's other ego? Like the the one that just kills vigilantes. Or,
Oh,
the
Ronin.
vigilante Hawkeye, Ronin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's see.
I'm trying to think of other cool archers other than Robin Hood. Everyone knows Robin Hood.
Everybody. Yeah.
I think that's kind of like it. Like those are like the big ones. Because I remember how archery was getting really big because of Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I still held off, and then it's just like, I mean, I'm 31 now, so I was like, oh, this will be awesome. Just whatever. I need something new. It was fun. Yeah, definitely go into the shop because like most shops are insanely nice, and a lot of times they'll set you up like they'll get you all set up and they'll be super chill. I mean, everyone's always excited.
That's what I figured. They'll have because they got the classes and everything. They'll get you all taught up right, and hopefully start you off with what you need just in case. They probably see a lot of people bail, because like, it's not for me. So they'll probably give you a good little introductory, like, hey, this is what you need to get started. It's not the most expensive, but you're going to see if you like it.
Yeah, like my shop, you can rent a bow for like the hour you're there. So
that's what I think I'm going to do it first.
Yeah.
Now, what about crossbows? You ever fire a crossbow?
No, I've never fired a crossbow. I've never really messed with it because the issue is like most places don't let you fire crossbows, and it's usually insurance purposes because a crossbow is basically like
too easy.
It's basically it goes faster than your regular bow. So, but because it has a scope, it's like basically a really bad gun. So it's like most shops don't really have like allow you to fire a crossbow indoors, or at least you can buy one and do it there, but then that's kind of it. And then like a lot of ranges, like there's like 2 public ranges that are near me, and you can't fire crossbows at those ranges. Basically it's because they're city properties and insurance purposes. So so
crossbows are hard to pull back though too, aren't they?
Yeah, they require because like I said, they're shooting the thing a lot faster, and I think they got quite a bit more range overall. I mean, again, you're putting on an actual scope comparatively to like a compound bow. So like it's basically a rifle scope on there, and so I've never messed with them.
Did Daryl from Walking Dead have it right? It is a pretty good zombie weapon.
No, because that's the thing is like people don't realize even a compound bow on the lower end should go through the head. That's how powerful they are. Like he should never have been able to retrieve any of his compound bolts, his arrow bolts. They should have just gone right through the head.
I like that. And plus, as they decay more and more, the skin is going to be a lot softer. It's going to just go right through, smash through the skull. And
the bones keep becoming more brittle. Like it should, especially again, like for how powerful compound bone, crossbow is, like it should just like obliterate. Like there should just been a tiny hole, and then that's it. Like he should have ran out within like a few days of the compound bolts. Like he shouldn't have had any. Like that thing, like it would have been pointless. Like I still like how many? I don't know how long it lasted. I barely watched it, and it was like how many seasons did it last? Like how did he replace the strings and
still going?
Like really?
Yeah. Well, I guess, in the eyes of the creator, it's a good weapon that you would think if you don't have much use with it. Hey, I could retrieve the arrows and it's pretty much replenishable, but even the arrows are they're gonna degrade
eventually.
Yeah. So
because I mean, a lot of people use carbon arrows now, so those do last a good amount of time. But I mean, you can only take so many heads, especially like broadheads. Like how many? Like broadheads does he have? So it is it's fiction. You just get to enjoy it.
It's fun.
It's mindless fun.
Now
that's what we watch it for.
Hunting, have you had a chance to hunt yet?
I've gone out scouting. Hunting season just started out here for archery, because usually archery gets an early start and then people go out with rifles. I'm just doing archery.
Okay.
So I've only gone out scouting. It's really hard in the area I'm in. It's not the best, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's better odds. Just quantity. They're not that many. There's not that much deer, and the area is there are a lot of hunters actually surprisingly out here. So it gets flooded. So it's like you really got to get into like deep into the woods. Like you got to hike in a good 4 or 5 miles if you're going to have better odds of finding anything, let alone getting the chance to get a shot off. So it's tough out here. I think there's better overall odds up in Northern California, and then a lot. Because also I got a bear tag, so there's a lot of bear options also up in Northern California. Everyone just recommended that because like apparently is like for how much little deer out here, you're more likely to run into a bear. So you might as well just get both, and then at least then you get something.
Yeah.
And then they also recommend, like, big recommendation, going to California, going to Arizona. They have over-counter tags, and getting deer out there. Deer apparently is a lot better odds out there in Arizona. So I'll probably try that out. Go to Arizona for like a 4-day weekend, and try it out.
So the big difference between bow hunting versus rifle hunting, is it, I guess, because you got one shot basically, right?
Yeah, you're not going to get off a second shot fast at all.
So you have to be, and just like, I mean, rifle, same thing. You're sitting there, you're just waiting, but you're waiting for an even more perfect shot with that bow, right? And
yeah, well, you have to.
What's your distance? You want to be closer too, right?
Yeah, you want to get as close. I hear a lot of people say pretty much for an ethical kill, meaning like a pretty much guaranteed, like it's comfortable as the distance. 40 yards seems to be a pretty average of like, that's as comfortable of a distance I'm willing to fire at. There's obviously really bombing hunters out there. Like Cameron Haynes is probably like the number one known as far as hunting community. He's been known, and even Aaron Snyder too, like they've been known to shoot 90 yards plus on animal. But typically, like, we're talking about double the normal.
Do they
distance.
do the math like on the fly, like the curvature and wind speed and all that kind of stuff?
I don't know how they take out wind speed, but for the most part, as soon as you got your bow sighted in and you shot it so many thousands of arrows, you kind of know like where. But you obviously have rangefinders to make sure you got your range first.
Okay.
So I mean, they actually have archery sights that, like from Garmin, that actually have a built-in rangefinder, so it puts a little laser dot on your target no matter what. So those are awesome.
Okay.
But like certain states, I think it's Idaho or Iowa, I can never remember. I know it starts with an I. They don't allow electronics on your bow. So that would be illegal there. So, but for the most part, you use your little rangefinder like you do even with a rifle, and then you gauge the range, and hopefully the animal slows down a little bit. You wait for it usually to stop, and then you just take your shot. So, but with the rifle, I mean, you can shoot an animal from like 400 or 500 yards.
Yeah,
for the most part, no problem, like very comfortably. So it's like, that's the challenge, why people really are drawn to bow hunting, is because it's just that much more of a challenge. It's like the success is, I guess, lower, but I guess that payoff, because like all that hard work that went into it, it's just like that additional.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Think, you'd feel like that feeling with a rifle when you hit something. And it's just like, I bagged some, especially when you're in a big group and you're the only person that did. Yeah. But you're with a bow out there and your odds are even bigger, and you hit something, and it's just got to be the best feeling in the world. Now, what about small game? Do they let you do small game bow hunting?
Yeah, there's like basic like turkey and rabbit and all that. But I do want to try turkey, because I love a good turkey meal. A good like with all the ends with the stuffing. So I want to try that out for sure. I haven't decided if I want to try rabbit, because it's already a lean animal, and like. But so I definitely want to try it, because I like cooking a lot, so it's like I just want to experiment with different stuff. So it'll be really fun to try different meats and different proteins, because I'll buy like buffalo meat and ground meat.
Oh, it's the best.
It's really delicious.
So good.
That's why I like. All right, so I really like the meat, so I was like, I might as well try hunting, because I'll try deer, and then that's why I got the bear tag, because everyone keeps saying online is like, bear meat's actually really fantastic.
That's
you
what
just
I hear.
Make sure you cook it right, so you don't get the parasites in you. But
Yeah.
you can. It's really delicious meat overall. And California, they don't allow it, but mountain lion is supposed to be really good too. But they just don't allow in California. It's banned.
Yeah.
So they say it's a lot like pork, I guess, because it's like a leaner, whiter meat, kind of like pork.
Oh, that's interesting. What about squirrel? Would you ever eat squirrel?
I would try. I'm not usually afraid of trying new things, so I definitely would try it. I just want to know. I would definitely rather be with like someone who's cooked it before and try it their way first, before like I'd waste, harming an animal and like not liking it. It's like, let me try what you have in stock first, and then we'll see how that goes.
So do you know a lot of hunters? Because I moved to Michigan, let's see, 4 years ago.
Oh, Michigan's a big hunting state.
Oh, yeah. And I still don't. Well, I knew on the east side of the state where I moved, I knew people who hunted, but not well enough to go hunting with them. And then now on the west side of the state, I just moved here last summer. don't know anybody that hunts, and I want to get into hunting somehow.
You know what? You go to your bow shop, and then you'll be surprised how many people that go in there do hunting, and then you'll find someone there. And it, like, the thing is, it's such a great community. It's like, find like local shoots or people that are going to the local range, and you just chat them up, or find a local group. Like out here, there's a local archery group, and they're just like, hey, who's going out? And just, you can easily find people and just make friends that way. And at least it's nice to go out with other people, because then it's just safety in numbers.
Yes.
It's just like, if you get hurt, you hurt yourself on a hike, and it's like, then you're not by yourself. And so, yeah, there's always safety in numbers. I mean, there's obviously lots of hunters definitely go out by themselves, but they're usually not going too kind of crazy deep in. At least I would assume. You don't want to go like 5 miles in, be by yourself, and realize like, oh, I snapped my ankle.
Yeah, right. Okay, so now you got me thinking. Okay, so what's your EDC then? Like, do you have something different than what you'd bring on the hunt with you, or do you have something that is for all purposes?
As far as like going within the backpack, or
backpack on your person?
It's pretty much, for me personally, I don't really have too much crazy everyday carry. Like, I have a basic cold steel knife, and I keep a pen on me, and my phone, and my earbuds. But yeah, my hunting stuff's definitely much different in my backpack. So it's definitely a different set of kind of stuff. Like, I got water purifier, and what else do I got in here? I have like all my stuff on my desk, but yeah, it's definitely a lot different, because I have like Mountain House extra foods from my emergency food, so I'll take those out on hikes whenever when we've gone camping or whatever. And yeah, it's definitely, for me, it's like a definitely separate thing altogether. It's like different knives. Like, I got the knife ready for if I do take an animal, hopefully, that I'll be using for skinning and gutting.
What kind do you have?
They have one of these breakdown ones. It's like the Gerber, so it's like a scalpel, like a disposable scalpel thing. So that way it's just really, really fine, super sharp, and just easily kind of separates the skin from the muscle. And then I just have like what's that Swedish knife company? I have one of those, like, really cheap. Huh?
Victorinox?
Maybe. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I have one of those for additional quartering. So it's just a nice, tough, fixed blade knife to get those legs off, and quartered it down. And
I'm sorry, Victorinox is Switzerland.
Yeah. So yeah, so I got those, and then I got like little cheap, stove and water purification pots and pans, like really basic camping stuff. The only thing I really don't have, I have like a sleeping pad too. The one thing I don't have is like a single person tent, because like for me, I only plan on, like, I don't really need a tent at the moment. I thought about getting a hammock. It's just kind of hard, because in my area, it's very open hills. There's really not trees to hang stuff off of. And I don't really plan on doing really overnight. Like, if I do, like, I'm not going to need a tent until I decide to go to, like, maybe something in Arizona, like for a 4-day thing. But out here, because I'm close by the public land, because all I can do is public land, I don't really know any private land options. It's just like an hour drive. So I would just leave super early, hike in as early as I can, and then hike out before it gets too late. So it'll all be the same day. I don't plan on like sticking around out there like overnight.
Yeah.
It's like really not necessary for me right now.
And I guess if you had to, you could, put together a lean-to or something like that could somehow keep you safe, right? And
it's warm out here. I'm not worried about cold, at least not right now.
That's good.
Like, if I got stuck out there and I need to spend the night, it's like, it's fine.
My buddy, he is nuts. Like, he went out and did winter camping, and it's funny. Like, he did winter camping with his brother, totally failed at it. Like, they bailed at, I don't know, like midnight or something like that, and went home.
They're like, I need to start hiking out of here just to warm up.
Yeah. So, and he thought he had it pretty much covered, but we actually, because we do a local podcast here in Grand Rapids as well. And we reached out to one of the local, like, they sell camping gear and bikes and all kinds of cool stuff. So we're like, hey, this guy failed at winter camping. Can you help him out? Tell him what he needs. And we did the podcast at the store, and he gave him a lot of really great ideas, and it was really cool. And then he went back out and succeeded, but it was just a little bit of tweaking on his part. And I think the big thing for him was the sleeping pad, because they have different R values on them.
Yeah, the seasonal
and his
value
just wasn't, Yeah, it wasn't
probably
enough.
didn't have the insulation between him and the
Oh
ground.
yeah, no, his
because you can't. I mean, especially when in winter, it's like from what my understanding, it's like it really is better to have your sleeping bag and the sleeping pad.
Mhm.
Because
And the sleeping pad was the decider right there. Like
yeah.
that was, and he was doing a hammock, but the main part of him that was cold was his backside, just frozen, and
that's getting blown with
so,
wind and
oh yeah, yep. And then went back out with a better R value, same kind of setup, and won the day.
Just insulated himself better. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like saying how cool it was. I'm like, no matter how cool you say it is, I'm still not doing it. I hate the cold weather, man.
Yeah, cold is a rough one.
Yeah.
It's because it starts hurting after a while. Like hot, you're miserable. Cold, you're in pain, kinda. That's really what it is.
Yeah, like heat you can strip down and you can be somewhat okay, but cold,
but
it's
once you're outdoors, cold kind of sucks a bit more. I guess once it gets to an extreme of either one, neither are fun. But,
I'm sure.
But like when you're in a house, I feel like at least being cold is better. But if you're outdoors, being warmer is better, I guess, in a sense. At least to me, I guess.
I think so. My wife hates summer. I love summer. Like, bring it on. I'm used to. I lived on the East Coast. It was super humid. Here, it's not too bad, but winter, I don't feel it. A shutdown. Winter. I'm trying to force myself into like winter sports and stuff. Try skiing or something like that, just so I can get more into
hockey. Get into some hockey.
Yeah, hockey's big over here, and but now I don't know. Like, I wanted to go see. We have a really cool like local minor league team that plays here at the arena, and I was all jazzed to see them. Nope, probably gonna be shut down.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like how it is. Everything's like all these ideas, and this thing is a pain.
Yeah, but hey, we'll get through it, man. That's why you just got to find ways around it to have fun and be safe or whatever at the same time.
Yeah, at least with the archery, it's like, hunting, like it can still do that because that's a social distancing as it gets for most part. Especially if you're by yourself, like I'll probably mostly be. So it's like, oh, okay, no problem then. Nothing to worry about.
What about going back to the hunting? So do you ever wonder about was it CWD in the deer?
So that's more that hasn't shown up in the chronic. So for those who don't know, it's chronic waste disease. That's more of an issue so far. Hasn't really reached California.
Oh, it hasn't. Okay.
I don't even think it's really hit the Midwest yet. That seems to be pretty much everything we have. I would say of Utah.
No, we have.
Because I know it's really prevalent in like the Northeast.
Utah, yeah.
I know Northeast, and so like New York, New Hampshire, Carolinas, Virginias, but. For the most part, Midwest and far west out here, it doesn't seem like it's reached here yet. I know there's talked about concerns, but it doesn't seem like it's reached here yet, fortunately.
That's real good.
Because I don't even think they have. I think even like Michigan or whatever, I think they have like mandatory testing, or at least it's not mandatory, but like you want to get it tested.
We do have testing. Yeah. I don't know how long it takes, but they have like drop boxes
I think it takes
where you
barely a week.
Okay. Yeah. And I know in Ohio, I know in Michigan we've had some reports in Ohio and
it's a gnarly looking
areas.
It's a gnarly disease, that's for sure.
Yeah, but they don't even know the long-term effects on humans because nobody's actually got it. But I guess when you're getting doses of it over time, whether it will affect you or not. So that's kind of weird.
It's we got corona, we got so many crazy
just live, man,
disease.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you this, and this is why I'm doing this whole thing. So I'm all about like recommendations, right? And I think you're the same type of guy. Like you like to learn about a lot of different things and hear about new things and stuff. So for everybody else out there, besides what we talked about, what are you into right now that you're just so jazzed on that you're like, I got to tell people, this, I'm just loving it. What is that one thing right now?
I mean, like my biggest thing that I super got into, because I mean, it's kind of more the newest hobby I got. I mean, I really love all the aspects of the not just the archery aspect, but the whole idea of self-reliance. Because we did our own garden here because we have a property with my sister and my brother-in-law, so he's really taken over it, most of it. But we've been really getting into gardening and all that. We've done really well with like cucumbers and zucchinis and all that. We got watermelon growing. We got all sorts of stuff. So we're having really fun time with that, having like our own fresh food. And so, I mean, I really think like it's amazing like how little space you need to like really grow stuff. So, I mean, anyone that wants to like start growing some like fresh vegetables and herbs should totally do it, because it's just like a different flavor you get from this stuff, and definitely a different appreciation for your food that you have for when it's like the effort that was kind of put into it. So that's really awesome. I mean, it's one thing we really went whole hog. Like we got a full worm casting thing. Like that was a $400 thing. Like we're making our own worms, and we're spreading them around our property to get like better nutrition for the plants and better, like getting better soil out of our property. So we went like really full hog with that. Like, cause after lockdown I wasn't working. So we're like, what do we do now? Like, well, let's start making food, cause the grocery stores seem to be running out of everything. So it's like, we started growing onion and rosemary and like what else?
I love the smell of rosemary.
Oh yeah, rosemary is great. We got like 11 different kind of fruit trees. We got like passion fruit, mango. We got 2 kinds of guava. We got additional avocado trees. I got a peach tree, a white peach tree. I mean, we also got fig and persimmons, and what else do we got? We got like a crazy amount of stuff. Plum, I think we got a plum tree.
Now, were there any resources that you would recommend to anybody to get started?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I love Reddit as a resource, because the anonymity helps people because they're a little more comfortable giving out advice, whether it's good advice or bad advice. But that's the advantage of like the culmination knowledge from the multitude of people. So there's a great subreddit, the gardening subreddit, and then there's also even the preppers subreddit is actually a good one, because they'll talk about stuff that is really good for growing in multiple kind of conditions, you know, like stuff that's really great for year round, and that's good for calories and nutrients and stuff like that. So it's like reminder of like not just what you want to grow, but stuff that's like if you want a self-sustaining kind of ecosystem and how to get there. Like that's a great subreddit, especially like right now with how crazy everything is. I mean, that's actually really kind of a fun one and nice one to kind of see, to like, you know, about, you know, water purification and solar energy and like all sorts of just basics of like getting yourself ready to be, you know, self-sufficient, especially how everything is now, you know.
Yeah, I'll link that in the description, and that way people can click the link and go right to it. What about you, Steven? Do you have how can people find you?
If you want to follow me with my archery, I have a YouTube channel, and my Instagram are Witty Hobbyist. And then, I mean, if you want to follow me on dog grooming, it's, I always forget how I spell it, because it's Grooming by Esteban. I know. I was like, I'm not usually on that one too often, but a lot of people I've done live streams of like the grooms, because like the dogs are, like super. Yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome.
Especially on Reddit, I've usually done it. Yeah, Grooming by Esteban. Grooming _by _Esteban, ESTEBAN. So I got like all my grooming pics on that Instagram account. So I try to keep them separate. So like everything has to be niche now. It's like it can't be all one super thing. It's like I wish I could just do one. It's like it's all dog grooming. It would look so weird. It's like, why is this guy bow hunting and then there's cute dogs the next thing?
Right.
So yeah.
Hey, that's the way of the world.
Yeah. People like I follow this for this reason.
Well, I'll put everything in the description so that way everybody can find the proper links to get to you and check it out. And yeah, I mean, I had a great time, Steven.
No, thank you. No, that's why I like doing. I mean, that's why I love these podcasts, because like I know it's like it's really hard to find people that want to talk, and unfortunately, like I mean, we didn't even get into it. Like with my autism, like I can just start rambling on and on with different subjects forever. So
let's well before you go, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, how has that affected life for you? Does it make things more of a challenge for you, or because it's a challenge make you want to crush those challenges even more?
kind of a bit of both. So it's like, I mean, I was diagnosed really young, especially when it was brand new because I have high function. I mean, basically based on our conversation, I would assume most people would like have autism, and I have I'm definitely higher functioning. I was diagnosed with Asperger's when that was kind of the thing. Now it's just everything's the Autism Spectrum Disorder, so ASD. But I was like in 4th grade when I was finally diagnosed and started getting real help from the schools. Like I struggled with school, like all through like till the end of high school. I really struggled. Like I tried to do community college, like it just wasn't for me. And so that was that.
That might not be the autism though. School's kind of boring.
It is, man.
I didn't really care for school.
Because I refused to like do the cursive classes, and I had to go to the principal's office with my parents there, and there's like, "Why aren't you doing your cursive? Like, you see that computer on your desk? That's why." Like I was right. I was right, hands down.
I'm a futurist, man. Come on.
Exactly. Like I saw it. How come you can't see it?
Yeah.
Using the computer, look, you writing anything in cursive?
Do they even use cursive anymore? I thought they took it out of the school system.
Why would you have cursive? Everyone's typing everything.
Just to sign your name.
What kid handwrites anything now?
Yeah.
Everyone is putting everything on the internet. They're texting each other, or DMing each other, or Snapchatting each other. They're like, no kid is handwriting. They're sending, emojis. That's all they're sending.
I keep a field notes in my back pocket just so I can write, every once in a while, write down the thoughts, because I think I have to keep that up. Or like, when you haven't handwritten a long time and your hand gets tired and you're like, oh, what's this weird feeling? My hand's getting tired.
Oh yeah.
Back in school, you used to write all the time. You're like,
never got cramps. Now it's like I can't write more than like 2 lines on a piece of paper. And like, oh, what's that feeling?
Yeah. Screw this! I'm gonna type it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just crumble this up and redo it. No, we don't even type anymore because we do like voice dictation now too. It's like I just use Siri to type everything out for me. Like that's how lazy we got. We don't even type anymore.
Yeah, but that frustrates me because I have to add in the punctuation and everything. Yeah, sometimes you got to change words, add punctuation, and it's just like I'm like, screw this. I'm just gonna type it out, no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, especially long sentences. You need to send out like a whole paragraph.
Yeah, and then if somebody talks, it's all over.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. I would do that to my wife. I was like, say butt munch, like start shouting random stuff. So yeah, no. With my autism though, I mean, I just struggled. Like I was just, I was the slow kid. I mean, I was just slower with stuff. I mean, especially with autism, like I didn't really get the social cues and stuff like that. So it was difficult to make friends for the most part. Like I had friends, but they were not good friends. Like they were like, my mom's got stories that, like I barely remember it, but she remembers like kids throwing stuff at me, and just like I got bullied only seriously once by one kid in like the 3rd grade before I kind of knew what was going on with me. But like I finally fought back, and like that squashed that. I never got bullied ever again. But
there you go.
Yeah, it was difficult. Because it's just like there was always these like frustrations of like, why don't I get like, and like pick any subject minus math and science, like why can't I get this? Like why am I having such a hard time? Like even math I still had a hard time. Like science was my stronger subject, so like I was super into like super
science is cool.
Yeah, science is cool.
Math is I'm with you on the math. Math never clicked with me, so don't feel bad about math, because
geometry was like actually my stronger subject. Like I actually enjoyed geometry, oddly enough, but like algebra 1 and 2, and it's like I don't like that stuff. But like Bill Nye the Science Guy, like my jam. Like I was always watching that. Like any science show, like Discovery Channel was always on watching Discovery Channel, and History Channel when it was actually history.
Yeah, right. Back when it was really cool.
Like, why can't we just put the History Channel on for that 2 hours you've been in that class? Forget the teacher. You don't even need teachers now. Like that's what you do. It's like forget the teachers at this point. Just put up a Zoom History Channel thing and just be done.
No, but it's got to be all ancient aliens, just all day long.
Yeah. The government messed up. The aliens are out there. That happened. Put in some conspiracy of JFK and call it a day.
Yeah, right. So do you have just based upon your life experience, anybody that is dealing with the things that you've dealt with in the past? Like, what do you say to them? I mean,
it's kind of hard because that's why everyone keeps saying it's such a spectrum of people on the the spectrum,
because everybody's different, right?
It's such a wide array of their ability to interact. I guess I don't want to even say normally, because like what the heck is normal? Like, but cohesively, to be able to interact cohesively without, because I mean that's really what it is. People are uncomfortable with discomfort. So it's like someone's a little awkward or quirky, so like they have a hard time. Like the new show, like, and I just went through it with my wife, and like, oh yeah, this is so cringe. There's the show on Netflix right now, Love on the Spectrum. So it's just like a documentary series. It's 5 episodes of people on the spectrum in Australia going over, the dating world for them. So like they're dating other people with autism and just showing their like one-off dates and whatever. And just like kind of it was so cringy. Like I think I can say that. Because even for me, it's like I realized like some of their interactions are just like it's hard to gauge. It's like some people I know for a fact, like there's a reason like they're trying to just find people that are also on the spectrum, because any normal person is like, ooh, this is too awkward to be around, or like their filter is not like really in place for like, I don't think I could be around someone like that blunt, or just like, like just gonna literally say something very unfiltered.
Okay.
So, so that's kind of like the difficulty with, for those on the spectrum, especially those are like lower functioning. Like just for an example, like people on the spectrum in general, at least in the States, I don't know like Australia or UK or anywhere else, but like take the US for example, the unemployment rate is about 80-85% for people on the spectrum. Like they don't get employed because like they have a hard time, one, interviewing for a job, and let alone two, holding a job, because of either their abilities of because they require so much help like maintaining a job. Either because of unless it's like a really rigid structure. That's the thing, like with a lot of us on the spectrum, like one thing that's required a really pretty rigid structure. Like they need to know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and they cannot change. There's very lack of ability to adapt, unfortunately. Not that everyone can't. I mean, people talk in broad brushes, so doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you. It doesn't apply to you, so shut up. But for those that it does, I mean, that's kind of like that's the general problem, which is why it's an 80% unemployment rate. I mean, I'm looking at like, again, like I'm definitely not your typical person on the spectrum, because I mean, obviously we're able to hold this conversation really well. I've been in a single industry for 10 years. I mean, that's not very typical. So it's, it's like I have it, but it's like I don't quite fit into that group of people. But then again, it's like for me, I also don't fit into a normal group of people sometimes. Like for the most part, I can kind of chameleon myself into most situations, and I'm fairly comfortable for the most part. But it's like when I'm not comfortable, like I'm definitely not gonna be very cooperative. Like I'm bailing.
Yeah. I think though it's it's always good to straddle a line, like what is normal, or what is this group and that group. It's like, be yourself, and whatever makes you happy to do, and the other thing is like, because I think a lot of things that you would describe as well too, it's like for anybody else who's not on the spectrum, like I'm the same way, man. If situation's not comfortable, man, I'm out. Why subject yourself to that? Like, why stay when it doesn't feel good or anything? It's you got to be at your comfort level, and sometimes you got to push yourself a little bit, which I think we try to do as we're older too, to like come more out of our shell and try new things and all that kind of stuff. So
and there's been a lot of pandering to autistic people too now, with like, I mean, I guess that's what a lot of entertainment industry does. So it's like you had like, what was it, that last Power Rangers big movie came out, one of the Rangers, he was like autistic, and it was kind of like, it was all right, they did a decent job. And then like they had that new TV, or not TV, I can't even really call it a TV show, I don't know what you call it for Netflix, because it's like not really TV anything, it's not broadcasted, but Atypical, I thought was actually overall a fairly good representation of someone that could be kind of high functioning, kind of low functioning, especially because like his overall ability to like, okay, certain stresses and certain his rigidity and his routineness and stuff like that was a fairly good representation of someone on the high end, at least, like kind of get an idea of their mindset and how they function. And then again, like then he still have like, again, that I still recommend watching it, the Love on the Spectrum.
Okay. So Love on the Spectrum and Atypical, right?
Yeah, both of those are on Netflix.
Okay.
Atypical's got 2 seasons. The Atypical follows a 18-year-old guy on the spectrum getting ready to graduate. So he's kind of going through that new transition in life, and so it's a drama. I can't remember that one stand-up comedian's name. Anyway, it's a good series overall.
Okay.
So it's like maybe my wife really enjoyed it. It's really funny. So I got irritated with the mom because like that was one thing, because I've done public speaking for because like my old behavioral therapist, she had a big program. I went and did public speaking for me and a couple other guys, and we spoke to the parents, kind of talking about like, you know, mostly like our life experiences, and then, you know, talking about, you know, ways like, I guess kind of like how we dealt with things, so that way they can kind of, I kind of want to put like, we were trying to give the parents kind of hope, but also at the same time, it's like, it really comes down to, again, to the ability to function cohesively in society. So it's like, it kind of also at the same time, it was kind of false hope. My main thing was like talking to the parents, like, you can't lose yourself in this, because my biggest issue I generally see is parents that are too into that their kids have autism. Like their life is about their kids having autism, so they have no life themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're all about being subservient, literally, to their kids' needs because of their inability to function.
Mm-hmm. So what would you suggest?
I've always said this to parents, is like stuff. It's like, you have to have your life outside your child. You have to have your own hobbies. You have to have your date nights with your spouse. Because you need to show your kid, especially if they're high functioning and they still have minor issues, that your life isn't on hold because of them, and thus you don't cause resentment. You don't resent your child. I mean, that's why a lot of divorces happen, because the parents can't handle their kids being autistic. Like, I mean, as blunt as I can put it, it's like we're broken a bit, you know, and we're gonna have till we die issues. So the question is, what can we put into place, and that'll help us, again, be as functional in the society as possible. And generally, like, if you're very fortunate being here, there's usually really great programs to help with employment or to help with housing. But again, it comes down to how low functioning or high functioning are. It's like, if you're kind of more high functioning, like, you're kind of on your own. Like, you have to be severely autistic to get like decent, good government aid, where it's like either housing or you know, let's say food stamps or unemployment, or you get to go on disability. But if you're too high functioning, you're more than likely not going to get any of that, because you just seem like a weird person. That's what you're just labeled as. It's like, oh, he's just weird. But it's like, when you have genuine mental health issues that maybe require simple behavioral therapy. Like, we're not even just talking about general, like, that was one thing that helped me in high school, was behavioral therapists that we had come every other week. And we did role playing on different scenarios of dealing with people and dealing with our emotions, and, you know, giving us the tools that we needed to help us, like, to kind of rein ourselves in when we're stressed in a situation. So it's like, there are definite tools out there. It's really still hard to find access to those. And that's the kind of the challenge. Like, I always had like,
what did you find that was something that helped you? Like,
the role playing stuff really helped with the behavioral therapist. It's like, okay, so like, we talked about, because I mean, that's kind of like in our heads, like, we are very defined by rules. Like, and I'm just gonna take myself, like if there's a rule to this scenario, I can follow it. Then I know what's supposed to happen. I'm not guessing, because I'll be afraid to guess, because then I'm afraid to do something. Then my fear then freezes me. It's like, then I'm not, because then you're just stuck. You're stuck in a feedback loop of like, I don't know how to move beyond this stumbling block. Whereas with the role playing, or just having someone to talk to eventually, you know, it's like, okay, what do I do? Like, so that really helps. It's just, you know, communication. And like I said, I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's like, I think there needs to be more behavioral therapists out there to help people on the spectrum, because they'll have the tools to help people on the spectrum, to guide them through where they're stuck, essentially.
Okay. Have you ever thought about any kind of, not as like a behavioral therapist, but counseling yourself to help people in any way? Or have you ever reached out to, besides public speaking, to...
The public speaking is kind of, for me, like, the best way to help. It's like, because then I'm talking to the parents and just like kind of reiterating, it's like, you know, you help them by kind of also helping yourself, because they're already doing what they need to do. They're already there looking for the programs, and they're like, the doctor that I worked with, she's fantastic. She had a great book that on parents and education.
Who is this?
Dr. Cynthia Norrell.
Okay. And what's the book called?
She has Quirky Yes, Broken No. I'm gonna have to double check. Give me 2 seconds, but I'm pretty sure Quirky. But she also has a brand. Hopeless No. That's what it's called. Quirky Yes, Hopeless No. And that one really delves into. And you can get it on Amazon Prime. It's actually on sale right now for $16.99. I'm not affiliated. I've just known this lady. She's been helping children in the school industry and privately for decades now. Like I finally met her around time I was like 4th grade. So she's been doing this for 20 plus years, and she's fantastic. And she has many, many resources. I, on my own podcast, actually did an interview with her, which might still be up on SoundCloud. It's called the same thing, Witty Hobbyist. She talked about the best way for parents to the steps that they can take to find resources locally. But she's actually coming out with a new book, and I don't know how far along it is, but it's actually basically to help employers, because she's been working with human resource agents and people in the industry of human resources, and also those who are actually have in industries where they go out of their way to hire autistic people because of their skills, specifically like in tech or something similar, how to deal with them with HR issues. So like just take, for example, a hygiene issue that seems to be really common with people. I mean, you go to any comic convention, you might think that half of them are autistic because of how bad the hygiene is in there. But of how to deal with someone on the spectrum, so that way it's like you retain, because there's talent in almost every single one on the spectrum, because our ability to fixate on something and become very specialized in that. So again, the majority of us are male, and the majority of us again are also into tech. So a lot of them are programmers and all that. So it's like there's a talent pool there.
Yeah,
but
IT is big.
But the problem is you have to interact with people. You have a boss to communicate with. You have clients to communicate with. That's the issue. I mean, this is what, like, I think did I talk to her on the podcast about that? But I brought it up multiple times online and stuff. Like, I wish there was like a program, because there's such a talent there that could be tapped in. But the issue is, like, they might not be great at keeping themselves organized or cooking for themselves or cleaning for themselves. It's like, I wish there was like a campus or like a dormitory where like they can get a housekeeping, they can get a cafeteria so they don't eat junk food, and then they have on staff like a therapist that'll help them if they're having issues with work or they need questions about how to interview. So there'll be someone there to help them interview, and there's like an employment officer that'll help them find employment, be the in-between them and the employer, helping them with issues that are going on with their employers. Like, you know, so that way they don't feel afraid to talk to their, but it's like they have an advocate, like getting advocates in there that, you know, that way we're not just throwing away, so, you know, people with such potential to do great things. If there's geniuses among us that, you know, they're not getting their fair shot, not necessarily that it's a fair shot, but they're not getting a shot because people just they're again uncomfortable with discomfort, because it's something they might say, something they might do, you know, how they talk and how they act or how they dress or how they smell or whatever. So, I mean, it's like, I wish there was a way to kind of bridge that gap of taking advantage and utilizing that genius that some of them have that could be used for, you know, the tech industry, because like without letting them feel that they're just being cast aside by society.
I'm with you all the way, man.
Yeah.
I think there's a big need. My nephew, for example, he's on the spectrum, and he's over 21 now, I believe. And so it's like getting into life, right?
Yeah.
And where do you go? You know?
Yeah.
And I think from what you're saying, just based on from what I've heard of all the assistance programs and everything, there's got to be something like that. I think that would be a phenomenal thing, and hopefully somebody hears this and they're like, "That's a great idea. Let's get out there and get it started."
Sometimes there might be a responsible, so you make him like an executor of some sort. So they're like, you know, like obviously they're gonna have a job, and how does this get paid for? Okay, make it like half their check, because half their check, let's say, goes towards their room and board, goes to their housekeeping, goes to their food, and then the other half goes into a private savings account that helps them to make sure that they're not without money down the line, like when they get older. And, you know, and then bring in people that are higher functioning autistics that are really great at communicating. Like let us help each other out. Like, I mean, that would like, let's say like I created something like this and I went on a board, like making sure that someone honest is in there, because that's everyone's concern, is that they might be taken advantage of. I mean, I think some of the most honest people I know are autistic. Like, get people to get the crazy people to run the insane asylum, like help each other out. It's like we know how we work, and like find those that, you know, have the skill set to continue to monitor and help each other. But I mean, everything gets corrupted, so it's like, how do you keep it from being corrupted? It's like, I mean, things work themselves out. I believe that eventually, like, we're talking about minor details and minutia of it all, but like, I mean, we have to start somewhere, because I mean, look at it this way. I mean, like, unemployment's already going to be crazy, but the biggest industries are still going to be tech. Those are still growing. So it's like, and that's where a lot of autistic people have the talent in. It's like, how do we grab them and just, again, it's like, just not throw them away just because we're not comfortable about being around them.
That's right. My wife works in tech, and because she works in tech, she works in IT.
Yeah.
It's just opened my eyes to how big tech is. Like, and how vast it is, because years ago I considered IT the guy in the basement coming up to fix your computer.
Yeah, just like, did you turn it on and off?
Yeah, right.
That's always the first step, Nick.
Always. And I made her watch the IT Crowd too, and she loved it. But that was my idea of IT. But then when she got into it, I learned, you know, all the different facets of IT, and just how big it is, and how ever growing it is, and how important it is to the structure of pretty much everything. Especially she's in the healthcare side of things, and it's nuts how.
Oh, that's a giant industry.
Oh yeah,
especially when it comes to security.
Oh yeah. So, like you're saying, I mean, that if you have a propensity for that in the first place, you need to be there, because that is a great job. I mean, it's really secure too. They pay really well as well. Yeah. So, and they're always looking for people that know how to do the job well. So yeah, I think
guess what? We've learned with COVID, you don't even need to do it from an office.
You don't. My wife is working from home right now. So
my wife's working from home too. Like, I'm a mobile groomer. I have to go to people's homes. But like, my wife's she like, that was the first thing. Like, you guys are working from home. Like, they now have like a 5-story office building near us. Like, that's just empty, because like they said they already said like, don't expect to go back till 2021.
Really?
So like, yeah. So like, they just like, stop asking us 2021. Which even then it could still be good. Like, we don't know how much further it's going to be pushed, but it's like, don't expect anything till 2021. Yeah. So, but like, no matter, even then, it's like, there's nothing but, it's all tech. Like, my dad, he sells he sells semis, and he's looking at a job to working for Tesla, selling their trucks, their semis.
Yeah, I think
so. It's like, those battery powered, self autonomous. Like, he's gonna be looking to selling those. It's like, oh, like, I mean, that's like, even for someone in his age, like, he still knows that industry. It's like, that's still a big tech industry that people can move into. It's like, you just gotta be, take the risk, I guess, is put in it.
That was pretty sweet too, because like, if you have a heart attack while you're driving, it will just pull over for you and call the emergency services and stuff.
Have no one in them.
Yeah.
I think Volvo in Europe already has like a good set of, they have to have drivers in it, but they have a lot of autonomous semis out there.
Really?
In Europe. So like, they are like, that's like, people don't really, a lot of autonomous driving is already in existence. Like, more than people even realize.
Don't tell my buddy he's a trucker and he freaks out about it. I'm like, they're not going to replace you.
Not within, like, I see 20 years.
I say 20 years too, at least.
A good 20 years.
Yeah. I'm like, you're fine for right now. You're going to be out before they replace you.
Yeah. If you're in your 50s and you're a trucker, your 40s, I'd be more concerned. If you're in 30s, don't even bother.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry. I mean, that's the way it's going.
It is. But hey, you know, it will cut down on, you know, traffic fatalities and stuff. I said for him, I mean, for him, he still has to help unload everything. So I don't know how they're going to.
Yeah, that's why I mean, yeah. So it's either they're going to have people at the warehouses, which I mean, that's pretty typical. I mean, you're just going to have people trained to use forklifts now at every kind of wherever they receive a truck. I mean, your next option is to get a forklift license. You know, be prepared for the next step. It's like, oh, I mean, think ahead. So like, get a forklift license. So it's like, oh, you got all these autonomous trucks coming and going. I can work anywhere that requires a forklift license. There you go. I mean, just start thinking ahead, I guess, is kind of the point.
Yeah. I guess we'll just I think everybody will just get slapped in the face and be like, okay, we need to change right now. Rather than think this is coming. But,
yeah, we're gonna be bigger in trouble when the burger flipper robots start taking over the McDonald's and Burger King and all that
and
stuff.
doing them better. No,
faster. I mean, they already have a robot that does it.
Here's the thing. I hope to think, or I hope that it's kind of like music where people are scared about music being too machine oriented. Like, you know, if you were to use a programmer, how perfect the beats are for a drum beat.
Yeah.
But it doesn't account for like human timing, which is slightly off.
Right. It's not super on the dot
exactly.
every millisecond. It has that little variation.
That's right.
That's
it has
tempo.
The dynamics, and it has these just slight offbeat. And that's what they think, you know, makes music so great. But then when you try to replicate, or a computer tries to replicate that, it's just not as good. And actually, like I have Logic Pro, and in the drum machine, you can slip the beats over to kind of fake it out, you know, if you're doing a little sequencer sequence. And same thing as you can control the dynamics in there to kind of, you know, give it that feel, but it still doesn't feel as well as like a real drummer playing or a real instrument on top of it. You know, I think if you ever listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers, John Frusciante would say,
I love Red Hot Chili Peppers. Actually,
best.
I've always wanted to see him live. Like the band before them, I wanted to see forever live was Flogging Molly, and I finally got to see him like 3 years ago.
Nice.
I had so much fun, but I would love to see Red Hot. Well,
Chili Peppers. Here's the good thing. So Frusciante is back in the band. He got back in the band right before COVID hit. So, and that's pretty much God right there. But he said that, you know, he doesn't like recording like straight to a computer. You know, like guitar to peripheral and then the computer, because he likes that the way that the going through an amp to a microphone, the way that the sound pushes the air and stuff, it's a totally different experience for him than a listening experience, rather than just like the coldness of going into a processor and stuff. I thought that was really interesting, like the sound waves and how they react with the room and the mic and pushing the air and stuff. So I think we're going to have our purist even in the car game or the truck game.
I think a good amount of people realize, like, I don't want my car driving me everywhere. Like, I want stick even, like like people are going to be like battling. Like, I would definitely want like a manual car. Like, I want that feeling I'm in control, not out of control. Because like, as nice as it seems, like, oh, I can go take a nap on my way home. Like, nah, I kind of want, you know, if I want to change lanes when I want to change lanes.
Right. Plus it might get you there slower because it's going on like on a grid of like some kind of sequence the way it should go, where I think, you know, in traffic, I can kind of get around traffic the way that I want to and get there faster, you know, because I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. I don't know. Maybe
we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I mean, if everyone's going 70 miles an hour without having to worry about slowing down and braking, then it's kind of like, what was it, like Minority Report or iRobot? Like, it's all moving so smoothly, you don't have to worry about really going faster around everyone. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I'll let you roll out here. I'm going to put all the good stuff in the show notes, all the links and stuff. And
and I'll double check and send over. Too. Yeah, make sure we got the right ones.
Do that. Send me over that so everybody has all the good info that we were talking about here and knows how to get in touch with you. And then, you know, I think from what you were telling me, I hope you've inspired somebody to take that step into putting together a program, like you were talking about.
Yeah, I talked about, like, when I do stuff like that, I talk about this kind of program. Like, I can envision it working, so not necessarily flawlessly, but like to do what it's meant to do is like to give them a purpose, to give them a life. They'll give them community. It will give them, you know, it gives them everything they need, and we retain something super important that, you know, it's getting lost with, you know, like I said, like we're missing out possibly on all these geniuses that, you know, just because you can't work with them. Like, just like the mind, don't throw away the mind just because you can't accept part of it. I don't know. I can't say it as poetically as maybe some others, but like at least hopefully that concept gets through. And I talk like anyone that ever, I'll talk about that thing with anyone, because I think it's such like, feel like it's something that could so be done, and I just wish it would happen.
I think it will. It makes a lot of sense. But thank you so much, Steven. I really appreciate it. I had a great time, and somebody somewhere, they're going to put it together and make it happen. So
yeah, hopefully
give it some time.
Alrighty.
Thank you for joining me today, and thanks everybody else, and talk soon.
All right. See you later.
Thanks for listening today. If you want more Can't Recommend Enough, you can check us out at Twitter at Always Recommend, or on Instagram or Facebook at Can't Recommend Enough. Please feel free, follow us there, like stuff, go there for more recommendations, more cool stuff. Always be posting stuff and recommending all types of things. So check it out, follow, and if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and like the videos if you're listening to it on there. Also, subscribe to the podcast on the player that you're listening to, and that way you can get updated whenever a new show comes out. But you also, in the social media, get updates when new episodes drop as well. So check it out. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. Have a great day.